What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with the review of Expats, the 6-episode miniseries out in full now on Amazon Prime Video. This, of course, is an adaptation of the novel The Expatriates from Janice Y.K. Lee and was adapted and directed by Lulu Wang in her follow-up to the 2019 film The Farewell, a film I liked a lot, top 10 film for me in 2019. I was eagerly anticipating the Lulu Wang follow-up, bit disappointed it was on TV. Nonetheless, I had to check out Expats. The premiere was 2 episodes when this series began, and I was not super invested in the narrative, despite some appealing aspects to Expats, namely the location shooting, the location in general of a series set in Hong Kong, in this case, set in 2014 Hong Kong, under the specter of the umbrella protest movements. And yeah, I was checking it out really as a fan of Lulu Wang, but I had some reservation about how we got started on that story. And a big part of that, I think, for me, was, of course, star Nicole Kidman, who was giving us a very familiar turn on television that we've got from Kidman now on 4 different series, where she plays a kind of similar spin, once again, of a troubled older woman who also has some wealth and status in her life. And I think the character Nicole Kidman plays, Margaret, a mother expat living in Hong Kong, losing a child, as we learn about in great detail through the first 2 episodes. Man, Margaret is the toughest hang. Like, I just could not get on board with this character. And the thing that's a bit frustrating with Expats is this is not a narrative that will give you resolution. So I didn't really have my opinion change about many of my initial feelings, with these characters. And Margaret, at the very end, of course, spoilers for everything, including the finale, at the very end, when she realizes she can't move on, she can't move back with the rest of her family back to the U.S., she has to stay around, she can't leave her lost son behind. Yeah, like, she has this trouble, she has this trauma that she can't suppress. It's part of her, and it's clearly subsumed her. But she's just been so difficult to be with through these 6 hours that I was just very frustrated, like, seeing that unfold. I think just in general, I was just kind of frustrated spending time with her family. I thought both of her kids were grating. Brian T plays her husband, Clark, but he's kind of a non-entity on the series. I think it's episode 4 where the pastor character kind of shows up. I thought that was kind of half-baked. The best thing about the whole Nicole Kidman side to this 3-part story is really spending time with Essie, who is our eye into the migrant domestic workers working in Hong Kong from the Philippines and Malaysia. And episode 5 of Expats, clearly, easily the best episode of the series. This episode, feature length, was actually premiered last year at Toronto, despite the fact it's a TV episode, not a film. And that episode was the best example of this series trying to tackle race and class, which was something that was ever present throughout Expats, but not really explored consistently as the series progressed. And spending time with those domestic workers, where our core trio of characters was actually sidelined, and supporting characters in that episode, I think that episode was fantastic. That was great. But the 6-episode arc of Expats, to me, I thought was pretty disappointing. Of course, our other part of our trio, you have Soraya Blue as Hillary and Ji Young-yu as Mercy. I think those storylines work a lot better than Nicole Kidman's Margaret. Ji Young-yu as Mercy, I think the Mercy character is pretty up and down. There's some good stuff there. I think the stuff with her having this belief in, like, she's cursed and she can never be happy, like, that stuff's kind of annoying to sit with, even if it's, like, supposed to be from a younger character who's still finding herself. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a bit frustrating, but I really liked kind of how some of her story wrapped up in the finale, where her, now girlfriend Charlie basically tells her to her face how privileged and lucky she is to be an American, an educated American who can leave Hong Kong at any time, unlike Charlie. And I think that was really good to ground that. Ultimately, I think their romance was kind of up and down on the show. Certainly her relationship with Jack Houston, of course, Hillary's husband. Jack Houston, kind of a weird use of him. He had a weird place on the series. So I think the Mercy stuff was kind of up and down, but it was okay. And then I think Hillary's the best part of the trio. And, her stuff with her own family, apart from Jack Houston's character, her husband, that kind of comes on more late in the series. When her mother first visits her, I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, ultimately, I just kind of struggled with, how it attempted to wrap things up. In the finale, you have this kind of three-way conversation where all three of the trio are sitting in front of each other and kind of finishing each other's sentences and conversations. Is supposed to be like this kind of expository, like, values dump, and that's supposed to be like what you're taking away from all these character journeys. And the way it's filmed, though, it's close up only on one person, so it comes across to me as like very authentic or inauthentic, and in the way it was constructed. Even though I've seen behind the scenes photos of Nicole Kidman and Ji Young Yu like across from each other at the table, I know they were there, but it just doesn't come across as super real. And I think just the way it's written is kind of like grafted together, and it feels a little too neat. So yeah, I'm happy I watched this series. It's cool to spend 6 hours in a show literally like set in Hong Kong almost the entire time. It's pretty cool. We don't get stuff like that, especially in Western filmmaking. So that was cool. And I would have liked, honestly, a little bit more of the umbrella movement stuff. If you're going to make a show set in Hong Kong in a very important time in modern Hong Kong history, it's kind of tangentially, surface levelly acknowledged. Maybe that's kind of the point. We're spending time with primarily wealthy characters, apart from Mercy. So maybe that was the idea, the intent. But I think there was more meat on that bone for sure. But yeah, Expats. I'm hoping Lulu Wang makes a movie next. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, let me know, how did you feel about Expats? Did you like the show more than me? If so, let me know why. And for more TV reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.